Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, doctor, I can see it now.
It's your paper, yeah?
Yeah, doctor.
Okay. Cultural identity of Indian diaspora between the old and the new generation. Okay. So this is one idea or one issue, cultural
Yes,
identity
doctor.
of Indian diaspora.
Yes, doctor.
Between the old and the new, that's another idea. Okay. And you're using,
Biryati, and
sorry?
Ravi as an example.
Yes. So cultural identity of something like this, between, when you say between the old and the new, are you going to compare the two generation, or
Yes,
are you
doctor.
going to show the link between the old generation and the new generation?
In fact, I would like to make a comparison between what happened to the old generation and the new generation.
Issue of cultural identity is one of the prominent worries faced. The attempts to mix up with the, okay, so so when you talk about cultural identity of Indian diaspora, so it could be something
Yes,
like
doctor.
this, between the old and the new. You could just, your title can be something like this:
Yeah,
between the
doctor,
old
inshallah.
and the new, cultural identity in the return.
Yeah,
Because
doctor.
when you say cultural identity, you're focusing on one aspect, which is just culture. You're not looking at gender, you're not looking at economic, political, religious.
Yeah, doctor.
You're looking at cultural identity.
You are right.
And when you say between the old and the new, it already shows that the intergenerational experience that is being focused on.
Yeah.
And when you say it's based on this corpus, the return, automatically the element of the Indian diaspora will be associated. So you don't need to mention cultural identity of Indian diaspora, because the return is predominantly about the Indian community.
Yes, doctor. Oh, good.
Okay, so this is my suggestion. Okay,
Inshallah. Inshallah.
so this is the revised suggestion title.
Inshallah.
So use the title to guide the content of your abstract. So in your abstract, make sure you highlight what do you mean by the old and the new. You talk about Priyate, so she represents the old. And what do you mean by the new? Ravi represents the new.
The new
So,
generation who was born in Malaysia.
sorry?
The new generation who was born in Malaysia.
That's right. So you have mentioned you mentioned here. So this is good. The abstract sounds good. Um, and when you talk about cultural identity, which concept, theory are you using to describe that concept? So you are using Stuart Hall's discussion of cultural identity. So this is okay. Abstract has to be in one paragraph. Okay.
Yeah, doctor.
And don't have quotations. In abstracts, don't have quotations.
Ah, doctor, got it.
Quotations, you can have it in the actual paper, but for the abstract, simplify it. Don't have
Yeah.
quotations. Okay.
Mm.
This paper
Yeah,
intends.
doctor.
Okay. This paper intends. This paper discusses. Be more specific. Discusses, explores, examine. Don't say intends to. Um, this part I don't understand.
Yeah.
Their struggle for the sake of proving their cultural identity.
Yeah,
Why do they need
for proving their identity.
to prove to whom? Why do they need to
To
prove?
I don't know, doctor. In fact,
No, why do you need to prove your identity as an Iraqi or as a Kurd or as a Muslim? Do you need to prove? Is the word prove
the,
the right word?
yeah. They want to tell the other people that here we are a part of this nation.
Is that what cultural identity is, according to Stuart Hall? That you have to prove to other people who you are? Is that what cultural identity is? I think you need to read through that a little bit more,
Okay, okay,
because
doctor. Okay,
yeah, because I think cultural identity is what you practice. It's not what you prove to other people.
okay.
May recognize your cultural identity based on what you
Yeah, you are right.
practice,
You are
but
right,
I
doctor.
don't. Yeah, but I don't think it's about.
Proving.
It's not about proving. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
So
about
read it.
practicing. You can say. We can say.
Yes. So the kind of
Okay.
experience that they embody. So okay. So you've got introduction. After the
Yes.
introduction, it should be the literature review first, not methodology. It should be literature review. Okay. So the literature review should identify gaps.
You mean the second part is going to be a literature review?
Yes.
Okay.
You must identify between 5 to 7 previous studies on return. Identify five to
Yeah.
seven previous studies on the return,
Yeah.
and then discuss what what were the key findings of these studies. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you mean the result of each study.
The key findings, the results of each studies, but categorize them based on themes or based on issues. Don't categorize them basing on scholars like Shantani Pillai, number one, Susan Phillips, number two, Raihana MM, number three. No, categorize your discussion, this part. Categorize it based on themes. Maybe the first theme is about community, another theme is about sense of belonging, another theme. So each theme is based on the findings of this research. Okay, but you
Okay.
present it in your literature review not by identifying the scholars, but by identifying their findings. That becomes the main idea of each paragraph.
Yeah, doctor.
So
Inshallah.
the literature review, have that, and then the methodology, conceptual framework, and methodology. Put it.
After literature review.
Yeah, where is your? Oh, you already have your literature review here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you have your literature review.
Yeah, doctor. Because I followed the template that you gave it to me.
Yeah, but the methodology, that because you put this as methodology, that's not correct. This is literature review. So this is done. So this is done. Good.
Okay, doctor. But I have a question, doctor. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you. So the methodology, doctor, which methodology shall I use here? Because I got confused between the diaspora theory and the other methodologies like marginalization and the others, doctor. In fact,
Um, so when you say methodology, it's basically what you have identified as the concepts that you want to use in the way you study this novel, The Return, and the way you study the two generations of Indians represented in this novel. So I'm assuming this idea of Being and Becoming by Stuart Hall will be
yeah,
important,
doctor.
right? This idea of being and
You're right.
becoming. So what other concepts? So you've got being and becoming. What else? What other concepts that you
Marginalization, doctor.
um is that part of a cultural identity? Because you're looking at cultural identity. So when you talk about cultural identity, this idea of from being to becoming, that's what Stuart Hall describes as the individual, especially those in the diasporic experience, moving from one location to another, moving from a state of being something to becoming something, you know.
Yeah,
So that would be an important aspect. But marginalization, is that an aspect of cultural identity?
yeah,
I don't think so, because cultural identity is more about the kind of the way the individual practices his or her sense of culture in their everyday life, maybe through the religious celebrations, maybe through cultural celebrations. So if it was cultural identity, so one of the things that you may want to look at is, consider how the traditions, the Hindu traditions
yeah.
and cultural practices
By each generation, you mean, doctor?
culture is not traditions and culture are practiced by each generation.
Yeah,
So
doctor.
so um, how Hindu- yeah. So the methodology will be to identify aspects of the Hindu culture and tradition in the story. Okay, you can see that in chapter 1, maybe chapter 2. That
Yeah,
may
you are right, doctor.
you can either say traditions, Hindu traditions and culture, or the Indian traditions and culture. So if it's culture, that includes religious celebration, okay,
Yeah,
prayers. That also includes, uh, you
the
know,
rituals, you mean?
the rituals. Yes. What else? Like, what aspects of culture? Like, for instance, when Ravi tells his father that Miss Nancy asked him to buy toothpaste and toothbrush to
Yeah,
teach him how to brush his teeth, the father was very, very angry because part of their culture is to use ash to brush
yes,
to
yes,
clean the teeth. So when Ravi came with this idea of he wants to use toothpaste and toothbrush, his father was very, very angry, and he beat Ravi up. So this is an aspect of the culture that is ingrained as part of the older generation. And Ravi is, as a new generation, is being exposed to different cultural practices,
you are
right?
right.
So,
Yeah,
so
right,
those
doctor.
kinds of things, right? So, daily habits or daily rituals,
Yeah.
and also schooling. If you want to incorporate schooling as a component, or education, or uh, um, if you want to incorporate that, or uh, I mean, you can just break it down further. So look at
Yeah,
Stuart
inshallah.
Hall's Being and Becoming, and look at how he describes elements of culture and tradition in the component of being and becoming. Okay, then you
Inshallah,
have your
doctor.
analysis. Okay.
Inshallah, doctor.
So in your analysis, you must analyze both Priyatai and how she demonstrates her sense of being and becoming, her sense of
Yeah.
cultural attachment to her culture, and then Ravi. And then you make comparison.
Inshallah, doctor.
Okay? Yeah.
Inshallah, doctor. بإذن الله تعالى.
Okay.
I'm
Any
so
other
sorry, doctor.
questions?
No, thank you, doctor. That's all.
Okay.
But just